Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Your Morning Drive. I am Logan Lewis, your host with the most. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm excited to have you here. Before we dive in, go ahead and do me a favor and hit follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're on right now: Amazon, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, any of these places. Just hit follow or subscribe so that you never miss an episode when they come out on Wednesdays. Of course, on all of those platforms, I would appreciate either a thumbs up, a comment, a like, a review, a 5-star rating, whatever it takes for you to show feedback that you enjoy listening to me and my conversations. It helps me grow and get seen by more people, so I'd appreciate it. And then, of course, if you want to follow along for more information, social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, you will find all of the things about Your Morning Drive and me. So check those places out. My guest today is a multidisciplinary artist and aesthetic professional whose work blends beauty, healing, and storytelling. With a design background from the Art Institute, she is the founder of Darling Derma Ink, specializing in restorative, cosmetic, and paramedical tattooing for those navigating medical trauma, loss, and life transitions. She is also the creative force behind A Darling Lifestyle, where her art and wellness centered offerings explore grief, resilience, and self expression. Her work is rooted in empathy and intention, driven by the belief that beauty isn't perfection, but truth, courage, and the willingness to begin. Please welcome my new friend, Anita Darling.
Hey there.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
This is really cool. I'm excited. I feel like we've talked about this for like 4 months or 3 months,
I
or
feel like we have, or maybe it was weeks.
maybe it was.
You're not that great
We
with time.
we did establish that I am not good with time. The people know that. They're like, "Oh yeah, if Logan says it was X amount of days ago," they're just like, "Take that with
Check the calendar.
a grain of salt. Check the
Yeah.
calendar." Exactly. In fact, I have to live by my calendar now.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's not a bad thing. A lot of people do it.
well, my friends,
know.
like, they like give me crap because they'll be like, "Oh, do I need to book an appointment for you to hang out with us?" And I'm like, I'm
Maybe.
sorry.
You're
Maybe.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. You should. Here's my email. Send me an invite.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. I mean, there's been times that like I've completely like it, not often because I'm pretty good at holding myself accountable and sticking to things that I agree to do. But sometimes if it's not on there, it's gone.
I don't think that that's uncommon. I think people these days are so busy and there's so many outlets that we're intaking information from that that's pretty common. I think a lot of people have to do that, so I wouldn't beat yourself up too much.
Sweet. I appreciate that validation. I'm looking for it everywhere I go. So I got it today from you, Anita. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So before we get into all of the things, give me a little bit of your origin story. Where are you from originally? Parents? Did you have siblings? Were you cool in high school? Athlete? Nerd? What were you? Kind of give me your little bit of your backstory.
Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that in a while. My father was Army at first, so we kind of lived everywhere. And then I think my parents were just gypsies or something after that. So I do have a little hometown in Missouri and I love it. It's 900 and some odd people. And I graduated with a class of 32.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that it's always shrinking. Like I think that there are less kids graduating per class now. So we had a really huge class. I was kind of quiet but funny. I don't know. And I made friends with everybody, hung out with everybody, but I could be that kid that was just reading. I loved to read.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I always had a lot of friends. Now I keep it a little different. I am more selective about that and just who I surround myself with. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was a nerd or I was a fun kid, I guess.
Do you wonder at all, or I'm wondering, like you had a lot of friends growing up, but then once you became a real adult, a real person, that changed. Do you think was there any particular reason why that shifted?
The shift definitely happened when my daughter passed away. I think I just really thought about who makes me feel how they make me feel and how does my body react around this person, is this a person that I want around more? Is this a person that I need to kind of lean away from? And yeah, I just let my body tell me which ones what. And some of those people dropped and faded away. Some of those people became larger portions of my life. And I just kind of let it happen more naturally rather than allowing everybody a ticket.
Sometimes I feel like I struggle with that is that I was joking earlier, but I also wasn't. I do look for validation a lot, and so I feel like I'm willing to give it to just anyone, which isn't healthy, on the mind because then you get your hopes up and then people will ultimately disappoint you.
But then I think that that's like part of your healing journey is understanding that, and this is just a thought of mine that's firing while you're saying that, but you're looking for that because maybe it's the thing that you didn't receive in your childhood. So now let's just search for that. So if you're if you're healing more of that childhood portion of you that didn't get that validation, maybe you look for it less now. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense. In fact, me and my therapist came up with that
Mm.
exact response. I do think it was because I didn't get much of it growing up, and it wasn't my parents' fault. They did the best they could with 3 kids. You know, there's no guidebook on parenting. You just kind of figure it out as you go, and there's gonna be side effects whether you like it or not. I feel like this is a total made up statistic, but I'm just willing to say that I feel like 75% of people have some sort of trauma from their childhood, whether it's an actual like an abusive kind of trauma or like just an emotional trauma that maybe they lived in a very loving, very happy, very wealthy household, but they still suffered because of X, Y, and Z. I feel like 75% of people suffer from something that came from their childhood.
Well, maybe more than that, maybe less than that. I don't really know, but I mean, just because I haven't read any statistics on that, but at the same time, I mean, it's all our perspective, right? So maybe this kid needed one thing and received another. Who knows? But yeah, maybe that is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just ooh, okay. So I don't have a producer to look things up for me like Joe Rogan does, so I have to do it myself.
I was
So
like, what is he typing?
yeah, that. I think that this misunderstood me, but it says that nearly half of US children encounter a traumatic stressor of some kind from their
Ha-
childhood.
have you ever met somebody who was like, I had no trauma in my childhood? Like, those are the people I'm suspicious of. I'm like,
Well, one of my best friends claims that like he doesn't have any issues that stem from his childhood, but like I know he does, and I know his wife knows that he
is he
does.
listening right now?
He might be, and if he thinks it's him,
Then
maybe
he
you've
knows.
got some
Then he
self
knows deep
discovery that
down.
you need to do. Yeah, but I know people that say, "Oh no, I'm good. Everything's good." Those are the people you gotta keep an eye on. You're right.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I definitely had some, and I would say that I like reassurance.
Yeah.
And I probably like looking back at my childhood, I did not have reassurance, but I know that when someone is reassuring to me, I'm calm. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
You know what's crazy for me is I seek that validation and that reassurance, but as soon as somebody gives it to me, I like almost shun myself. Like I'm almost embarrassed to hear it because maybe it's because I'm not used to hearing it. I don't know what the science is there, but like people like will introduce me to someone and they'll be like, "Oh man, he's so great. He does this, this, and this," and I'll be like, "Man, that's not
then you're
true."
embarrassed.
Instead of saying like, "Thank you,"
Thank
like
you.
taking the compliment, I do
You
kind
have to
of
sit in that uncomfortableness
yeah,
sometimes now.
yeah,
You have to start doing that. I think you have to start doing that. You're gonna have to go, okay, it's really uncomfortable for me to just go, deep breath, thank you. So maybe it's more like a regulation of your nervous system than it is anything else. So just regulate it and then, hey, thanks. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah.
You know,
That's a good point. Just to kind of like, just not like, just even just take a moment, just to like, and then resume conversation. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
I will say this is funny because when I started doing that, I remembered when I was a kid, when I would naturally do that, my parents would go, "Oh my gosh, are you huffing and puffing?" I was like, "No, I wasn't. I was just trying to take a breath and, like breathe, regulate myself," not knowing that that's what I was doing. But now looking back, it's like, oh, that's exactly what I was
Yeah,
doing. I was going, okay, this is a lot for me. Okay, I'm going to be fine.
yeah.
And then I was like, I would get in trouble for that. But now I'm like, no, I give myself permission to do that. It's no big deal. Taking a breath actually makes me feel a lot better. My body says so. The end. That's all the permission I need. So
Well, then there you go. And you took that all the way through your life and you still do it today.
I still do it today.
That's
I
amazing.
do it a lot.
Really?
I notice it all the time. I'm like, oh, I needed to.
So you said dad's Army,
My
or
dad
was Army.
he was Army back then. And then he became a truck driver when I was a kid.
Really?
He was just through here last week. And my mom is a famous dog groomer. My dad's a
Your mom is a famous dog groomer?
My mom is a very well-known dog groomer out there in the world. And this is so strange, but my dad, who does not know how to work electronics at all, he'll have like 200,000 views on his TikTok because he's a trucker and he like totally redid the inside of his truck. I mean, he's a creative. Both my parents are very interesting people. They both just kind of like my mom will have like 10 million views on her TikTok.
10 million?
I know. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, how did you do that? And they're like, well, it's a hashtag. They don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Good for her.
Yeah.
World known?
Yeah. I can walk into my mom lives in my little hometown in Missouri.
Okay.
And right around there. And then I can walk into any grooming shop and be like, oh, yeah, my mom is so and so. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's your mom.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Okay. That's a fun little tidbit.
Yeah.
And had it always been like that, or just over the years, she just found success and then it just escalated like crazy?
This is super cool and kind of interesting. I'm very proud of my mom. She was 14 when she had my brother.
Wow.
And married my father. She was 15 when she had me.
Wow.
So she, married back then. Everybody's like, is that legal? And I'm like, well, apparently in the small town in Missouri, it is.
Yeah.
So whatever. But she did not finish high school. But she ended up developing dog grooming tools after she became a dog groomer when I was like 11 years old. And I'm in my 40s now. So, I mean, that's been a minute. And then she ended up taking that, making these dog grooming tools, and now like PetSmart and everybody has
That's
them.
amazing.
Yeah.
Off mic, you'll have to tell me so I can like look her up.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case you don't want to like dox your mom. Dox. It's a term. It's a
What is that
podcasting term I heard
Okay,
recently.
you gotta tell me
It
that.
basically just means like if you didn't want to out her.
Oh, I'll out her.
What's her name?
Wilma. Whoa, wait a minute. My mom just got married not very long ago.
Then that's okay.
Alan,
We'll leave it at Wilma. Shouts to Wilma if she hears this. Maybe she'll hear this.
Yeah.
Cool.
She owned a cool company, and I mean, for somebody who didn't get to go to high school, had 2 kids, and it's like, that's amazing.
That's wildly impressive. Yeah, I mean, like, it feels like small town. Both my parents grew up in Illinois, and that's where I was born. So, and they both grew up in towns similarly that like there was like 40 people in their graduating class.
Yeah. It's fun.
And my mom's parents got married. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how old they were when they got married, but they had their first kid, I'm pretty sure at 15 or 16.
Isn't that cool?
So, and then had like 6 more. And so there's like a whole bunch of them, and all of their names start with the same letter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They ran with it. I mean, after the third one, it's just like we were talking before about working out or doing that. After you've gotten a record, you cannot stop then. They all start with C. We got 3 more to go.
It's insane.
Got to think up more C names that we like.
Yeah, they came up with enough S names. Luckily, there's enough S's that exist that. Yeah, it worked out for them. But yeah, I mean, that story I've always heard my whole life about like back then people just got pregnant young and they got married young. Sometimes they didn't finish high school. It was so much more common back then than it is now, I feel like.
I can't imagine that. Having 3 daughters, I cannot imagine that. I have my oldest is getting ready to have my first grandchild next month.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
I know, but she's not 15, she's 25. So, and I'm really excited. I'm like, I'm going to be a grandma.
You're going to be a grandma.
Yeah. My grandma name is Nini.
Nini.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
You know what? My grandfather used to call me that when I was younger.
Oh, that's
and
cute.
Then it was on my high school jacket. And I was like, oh, it should circle back. That'd be cute.
That is cute.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Anita, Nini.
First grandchild. That's fun. Because then you get to just treat that grandkid like they're like, do we know what gender it is?
It's a girl.
So you get to treat her like a damn princess. You get to be like the grandparent that like slides her the candy under the table.
No, I'm just gonna hand it to her. Here you go, honey. Grandma
Even though your
says you-"
daughter's just like, Mom.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh, yeah. That's the best.
I'm gonna look at her and I be like, teenage years. And
Yeah.
she'll go, "You're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mama. You win. I
Was she
lose."
tough?
She was so tough.
Really?
And she says now, I mean, she's 25 and she says now, "Mama, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for those years." And I'm like, "You should be. You should be." She broke my tailbone when I had her. So she was a pain in my tail,
Wow. Literally.
literally.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. You know, I read this statistic recently. It's not a statistic, it was a fact that when you carry a daughter, of course your daughter carries all the eggs that she'll ever have. So you carry your grandchild too. And so it's been the coolest thing because I'm like, oh my gosh, I carried her too.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Huh. That's really neat to think about.
It is
I
really
never
neat
thought
to
about
think
it like that.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And her name is going to be Ember.
Ember. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's growing on me.
EMBER.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's gonna be cute.
Very. I love these new names that people are like coming up with.
Sometimes I love them and sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that?
I do feel like there was a time, like maybe 5 to 10 years ago, where people were naming their kids some like wild stuff. And it's like, no, that's a good name for a baby, for a toddler even. But one day that baby is going to be an adult and they're going to have to tell everyone that their name is Star or something like that. And it's, I'm just pulling stuff out of the air, but like one day they're going to have to tell their friends that their name is Montana.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Montana's a cool name, but like, just sunglasses.
I lived in Oregon about that time, and it is like another country.
Really?
And the names were
Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
So I can identify with that. I didn't know if it was like the time or the place that I was in. But I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, lamp? Because it sheds light?
God, that's
a
horrible.
terrible
Is that
name.
real?
Yeah, it's real.
No.
Someone out there is named Lamp, and
Shout
they're
out
like
to
10
Lamp.
now. Yeah.
Shout out to Lamp.
She's 10 years old right now, and she's just.
What's her middle name?
I don't.
Shade.
You're throwing shade.
Look at that. Okay, so grew up all around because dad was in the army, and then he became a truck driver. And then, so at what point did you guys get to Georgia?
I actually got to Georgia as an adult.
Really?
Yeah.
So you grew up in this small town. You graduated high school there. Did you go to college?
I did, but I went online. I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we did online courses. I lived in Oregon at the time and had 3 kids. And so
Why
it was
Oregon?
my ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
It was his line of work. He was a surgical PA, and so.
So they moved him out there for work, or you met him and you moved.
Yeah, met him, and after a horrific accident that he was in, and he had finally learned to walk again.
Oh,
and
wow.
all of that.
That's horrible.
I was like, hey, I don't want to stay here in this small town in the mountains of Colorado is where we were at the time. And found this job in Oregon, and they recruited him, and off we went.
Wow.
Stayed there for around 10 years.
Oh,
raised
wow.
Kids, had my last kid there, And then after about 9 years or something, I think they projected that the next winter was going to be the worst of all. And, Oregon, it's not like it's snowy and things like that. It's gloomy. It's overcast. You don't actually see the sun there for months.
That's crazy.
And when they projected that, I was like, I can't do it one more year. I can't do one more winter here.
Yeah.
I need to go to where there's sun. And that was where Georgia came in. I found this website. I don't know if it still exists today, so you can check on that. But it was called findyourspot.com. And they ask you like 200 questions
200
about where you would like to live. And they ask you everything politically and just relationally, how you interact with society, how you like to live. And when you answer all those questions, it comes up with the top 10 places you should live in America.
Wow.
And the second one on the list was Brunswick, Georgia.
Really?
And I was like, let's go.
You're like, yeehaw, folks, let's run it.
Let's go. And then we got
Let's
there.
buy a truck.
And I was like, wow, this place is weird too.
Yeah.
So
It's weird everywhere.
yeah, it was not bad though.
Update for the people. Findyourspot.com is down for maintenance.
That was the coolest. That was the coolest thing to.
Sad.
I don't remember what number 1 was.
Oh,
but number 2 was Brunswick, and I happened to have an uncle that lived there, and I went to visit, and I saw this magnificent Mediterranean-style house, and I said, "I'm gonna live in that house." And I did end up living in that house.
wow.
I walked up to the door, and I was like, "I love this house.
That's
I'm gonna
amazing.
live in this house." And the guy goes, "I'd like to sell this house. Let's go." I was like, "Alright."
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Look at that.
it worked.
Hell yeah.
Loved
Okay.
that house.
Before we continue, my friend, I want to tell you and the rest of the people listening here about a couple of my friends that help the podcast live on. Can I do that real quick? Guys, the show is sponsored today by Good Days Canned Cocktails. Good Days are a classic cocktail brand created in a convenient, ready to drink format to meet the need for a quality premixed cocktail on any occasion. They're a local Georgia company. I happen to have one right here. It's empty, however, because it's 10 in the morning, because I drank it at 9 in the morning. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a problem. They have great flavors. This is the whiskey flavor. They've also got a vodka lime, a vodka cranberry, and a gin gimlet. They're made with real spirits, real juices. They're the perfect cocktail for your cookout, your pool day, your tailgate, your Super Bowl party, whatever it is. They can be the cocktail for you. Again, founded in Marietta, and they're local folks. They were the first partner that I had on your morning drive, and I've been with them for a couple years now. So we love to support them. Of course, you must be 21 years of age to purchase and consume them. But if you are of age, go to their website, drinkgooddays.com, find out where they're sold near you, and you too can join in on the fun. You can have yourself a good day. It's not their tagline, but it should be. Okay, so move to Georgia. And at kind of what age are you at this point?
Oh,
Or
what
what year is it that you guys get here?
30 I'm 34, so it's oh, no, math for me.
Oh, no. See,
45, no, 11 years ago.
11 years ago. Okay.
So 25, 24. No,
Yeah,
no,
I don't
no,
know.
no,
I
no,
don't know
no,
numbers.
no, no,
2020,
mine is 14.
2014.
2014.
Okay. So you got here the same year I
It's
did.
yeah,
Yay.
2013, 2014, something like that.
Okay. Okay. And then what's the first and so also your ex-husband worked, obviously he was a surgeon or did whatever he did. And then this whole time were you at home raising the kids? Were you doing stuff yourself? Like what were you kind of chasing?
I had an art studio, and I was doing it out of a very small, cute little art studio up in Buford. And I was like, I'm just doing it to get out of the house a little bit for when the kids are, because 3 kids is a lot. Everybody had everything from piano, voice lessons, Girl Scouts, lacrosse, softball, soccer. Like
You're a glorified Uber driver.
it was running everywhere all the time, hoping I knew the right moms to exchange kids and drives and ballet and performances. Ugh, oh my gosh, it was a lot. So, uh, yeah, I had a small art studio, but I was not expecting to do anything other than get out of the house and have my hobby and like make. And it was shortly after that that someone walked into the art studio and was like, "Can I buy that?" And I thought, I guess you could.
And then they did.
And then they did. I was thinking, I was gonna paint over that, but okay, I
And
bought it.
then did something click then and you were like, I could like make art and then sell it?
Yeah. I thought, okay. Well, what am I gonna make the art for?" And then I had gone to design school, so I thought, "Well, what's a repeat client? I guess I'll look at designers. Maybe they'll be a repeat client. That'd be a better repeat client than just people." So I kinda looked into that, and then, years later, I ended up in a divorce after nearly 20 years, and I thought, what do I really wanna do with this artwork? And I thought, the thing that I'm really interested in is if I travel, I always wanna walk around a hotel and see the artwork, and I've always wondered, how did that get there? So I thought, I'm gonna figure out how that got there, and I did, and, it just all fell into place, and I ended up making massive pieces of artwork for massive hotels.
Really?
Yeah. My last actually, that wasn't my last project, it was project before last was the Helios Grand for Universal Studios. I made all of the rooftop bar tapestries, and there's some lobby artwork, 4 pieces of lobby artwork I made.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." I walk into hotels all the time. I'll walk into them in Atlanta, and I'm like, "That's very familiar artwork." And then I look it up and I'm like, oh, okay, I made that 4 years ago. I made that 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, that worked. So then essentially I was working with companies that were art curation companies who provided artwork for high-end hospitality and anything from digital to plasterwork to fabric. I mean, the tapestries that I did for Helios Grand are massive piece of fabric that I hand painted, cut apart into over 3,000 pieces, and then sew them all back together. I mean,
Wow.
anything. It ended up being anything. I'm known in the industry that I can kind of work with any medium, and I did do a kind of fake it till I made it. They would go, "Hey, Anita, can you work with it? Do you know how to make this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know how to make that." Gotta go figure out how to make that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Run. I gotta go. But you know what? It's all a manipulation of fabric or material, and yeah, it's fine. You just
Wow.
go figure out how that material works and how to bend it, flex it, and make it into whatever they want, and if not, then you claim creative license and tell them why it's so much better.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. So that is then Darling Derma Ink. Is
No,
that what that is?
that's a Darling lifestyle.
Really?
So that's what I did with the Darling lifestyle. I just turned that into the artwork and, but Darling Derma Ink came later.
I'm sorry, I see that now. My fault, I misread. So and that's the cosmetic and
Darling Derma Ink is the cosmetic artistry, the, tattoo cosmetic artistry. It came later. I had one of my daughters pass away, which was a lot. She was in missing persons for about 6 months, and before her remains were found. Really, when you lose a child, it rocks your entire existence, and to have a missing child first, it's it's in a way, it's almost worse because you're wondering where, what. Every breath you're taking, you're going, "Okay, do I deserve to even breathe right now when I don't know if something's happening to my child?" That happening led my younger daughter, youngest, I should say, she was 16 at the time, to not talk to me about some breast lumps that she had. They went on for a bit before she kind of divulged, like, "Hey, I have these breast lumps. I don't know what's going on with this. Like, can you help me, mom?" She didn't want to talk to me about it because we were going through everything with her sister. And then it was one of those things like one was the size of a plum. It wasn't
holy hell.
small. It was, and ended up taking her to the doctor as quickly as we could get in. They ended up needing to do surgery as quickly as they could do that. It ended up being like the next week having that surgery done. It did ruin a portion of her areola. And I asked them, hey, how do we fix this? She's a 17-year-old girl.
Right.
I don't want her to.
Her whole life is ahead of her.
Yeah, so they said, we tracked down a paramedical tattoo artist, and they fix it with tattoo." And I'm like, "I'm an artist. Why would I pay another artist to do this on my own child? I can go learn to do this." I
So you
went.
did.
Yeah, I did.
And then you did it for her.
And she was my very first areola creation and, scar revision, and
Wow.
yeah, you can't even tell now that that happened.
So it was cancer and they cut it out?
They cut it out because it was a vigorously growing, mass, 2 masses. It ended up
Mhm.
being 2 masses, one the size of a walnut, one the size of a plum,
Wow.
that were hard masses that they couldn't even biopsy at the time because they were growing so
Oh,
aggressively,
that's wild.
and that's why they were saying, "We don't know what these are, but they're growing really aggressively. We need to get them out. They're coming out next week." "Okay, we'll prepare for that." So we did. They came out, they biopsied them afterward, and they were not cancerous. But she was just prone to that, and so we got them out. Thank heavens they weren't cancerous because after her sister, it
Oh,
was just like, "Okay, now I'm preparing another one for surgery. Please don't let these." Like, I can't believe that my luck would be that now, or that her luck would be that now, okay, I've lost my sister, and now I gotta walk through this, so
okay. So that whole thing came about through another trauma of having to go, you guys had a couple weeks there where it was probably really scary then for your youngest daughter. So you guys are going through all that, but then you come out on the other side of it and now you have this thing that do you still do this today?
I love doing it today. I get to do scar revisions. It's usually for women. I don't get a lot of guys that come in. Once in a while, guys will come in, but I mean, we can revise scars. We get to camouflage stretch marks. I get to work on areolas. Somebody has come through breast cancer. They pretty much have somewhat of a blank slate. Their
Yeah.
breasts are totally redone. They're about a year out and they have no areolas. So I tattoo all of the highlight and shadow, the complete areola. We talk about it. We just really comb through it and I get to let them walk out feeling amazing. They walk in with something that they feel like is a deficit. And I love the texts later where they get to tell me, hey, you've changed my life. And that change came from something that didn't feel good, that I was like, I got to walk through this no matter what. I might as well make something of it.
Sure.
Like, let's make something of it that is beneficial to not just one person, but keep spreading that. So I'm lucky.
I've never met anyone that does this. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Really?
Yeah, had no idea.
Okay. So not only do we do that, I decided I would take it a little further and go, okay, there's the fun side of it too, where there's permanent makeup. So, like my lips, I got them tattooed.
Your lips are
My
tattooed?
lips are tattooed.
Really?
I don't have any color on them. I just had them tattooed. And it's kind of fun.
So they're permanently that color. Wow, okay. Cool.
You're like,
No, I've just this is a world that I know nothing about.
yeah, so but it's great because my lips were actually uneven. And so she evened them out. I had a scar that kinda came down through on one side. She fixed that.
Wow.
And so her and I trade. We do different things for each other, but, there's eyeliner, there's eyebrows, there's not only the more medical side of it with
Like
erasing scars
restoration
and
and stuff.
restoration. Right. There's also just the fun side that's like someone has fun and wants to go, "Oh, I wanna have something pretty." Or there's still restoration in paramedical makeup as well. Sometimes someone has jittery hands. They don't wanna do their eyeliner every day. They don't wanna do their brows every day. Sometimes it's an older person that can't see so well and has jittery hands. Well, I just take care of it, and then they get to wake up every day and it's done.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kinda cool.
That is real cool.
Yeah. So
And so, yeah, I've never met anyone that does this before. So then this might be a silly question because because if you can do like restorative cosmetic work and like this, like the whole paramedical tattooing, can you do
other
other
tat
tattoos?
Yeah.
Really?
I have. Yeah. I have done them. I
You wouldn't like label yourself a tattoo artist though, would you?
For small tattoos,
Okay.
tiny tattoos. So, something 2 inches and under.
Okay.
You
But
know,
you're not doing full sleeves or arms or
I mean,
nothing.
it's not my specialty that I would lean towards. Could I work on one and do it? Yeah, I mean, I I work on massive pieces of artwork and do it. A tattoo gun these days is no different than holding a pen. So, I mean, could I draw that? Yeah. I mean, there are other factors that are at play, depth of the needle and all of these settings with your tattoo gun that you have to know. Do I know them? Yeah. Could I do it? Yeah. Do I want to? Nah, not so much.
Really?
I'd really much rather have fun with makeup and scars and areolas, and it's so much more fun.
Yeah. That requires a whole lot of I mean, the first thing that jumped out to me when you were talking about the fact that you did this for your daughter, I mean, of course she's your daughter and you're her mom, but like that's a lot of trust that someone puts in you. I mean, you're getting up close and personal, especially with your daughter, because she's going through a time in her teenage years where she's growing and becoming a woman, and like you're up close and personal with her in those settings of performing the restorative cosmetic work.
Mm.
And so, do people come in now and just they're real nervous, not even for what is going to be done, but just the fact that someone's going to be real close with them like that? You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
you'd be really surprised, especially, let's say, breast cancer patients. They've been up close and personal with a lot of people just to endure having breast cancer in itself. So when I get there, I'm kind of like dessert. Like this is the cherry on top. Like this isn't the chemo. This isn't having yourself mutilated. This is the restoration of that. So I love the part that I get to play, and, I charge for the areola itself, but I never charge for the scar revision of that breast because I think you have been through so much. I just want you to feel like this is your treat, this is your day. It is really up close and personal with someone, and there's a lot of tears, even on my part, because I get to do this for you and you're trusting me to do it. And you could have trusted lots of people. You could have flown somewhere to an artist that's known or something like that, but they're coming to me and I'm like, I feel like it's a huge honor that they chose me and that they're allowing me to get to do it. So, yeah, it's a lot of trust, but at the same time, it's more of an emotional journey that they're closing out than it is more trauma. So, we're just taking that part of the journey together, and I'm
Yeah.
holding their hand the whole time.
You're like you said, you're the dessert. You're the bow that wraps up that phase of their life so that they can move on. And so you provided that for your daughter. And then after you did that for her, were you like, oh, this is something I'm going to do? Like, were you definite on it? Or was it something that just kind of you sat with for a while and then you thought, okay, I'll do this and see if it works?
You know, I knew that I was meant to do it. I knew that I was meant to do it. Being in the art studio and, creating artwork for high-end hospitality, that's one thing, and people don't always realize how lonely it is. It was such a lonely job, which I didn't mind all the time, but working in paramedical tattoo, I'm still doing artistry, and it's different. Every canvas is different. So I'm mapping different things each time and then contributing the artistry aspect of it and knowledge. And I'm getting someone to understand and trust me and lean in. And it is I get to I get to really sit with people. So if I'm doing, let's say, areolas, we're chatting the entire time. They're talking me through their story and they're trusting me with their story, which is huge to me. I feel like that's the most amazing amount of trust that someone can hand to you is their story. And I sit with it. You know that with what you do.
Hmm.
You're like, okay, you're going to trust me with this. All right. I'm going to weave it and put it out there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I do. It's a gift to get to do it.
Yeah. Storytelling is one of those fun things that, like, I didn't grasp this until about a year or two ago, but like storytelling, anything is storytelling, really. I mean, all art is storytelling,
Right.
whether it's a song or a movie or a podcast or a video game or a canvas. I mean, every piece of art out there, no matter the medium, is telling a story of some kind.
And then it's tapping into who wants to lean into that story and how they wanna lean into it. It's really a cool thing. So I still get to be the artist, but I get to have company along the way. So it takes me out of that studio and puts me in another, in a studio where I have people that I'm interacting with, and I felt like, man, that just works for me so much. It was better, especially after the passing of my daughter. Found, ooh, the art studio became very different for me. It was a different art studio that I didn't align with as I had for so my whole life. Now it was a lonelier kind of feeling like, oh, I don't want to be here all alone all the time, every day. I'd rather be out there and I love people. People are
Yeah.
great.
You're kind of like me. It seems that in a way that you're really social and you love people, but then you also are very content with being alone.
Yeah.
Like you have a healthy mixture of the two. You're not necessarily an introvert or an extrovert. You're kind of just both
Yeah.
in moderation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can adapt to, like, sometimes I'm around people that are more extroverted and I can lean into that and that's okay with me and I can feel really comfortable in it, and the opposite. I can go draw and be by myself or read a book and do my thing. I don't know. Which way do you gain
See, that's I'm the same. I both. I mean, if I like I love to go to like an event, like let's just say like perfect example, like about this time last year, I threw a party or a party slash networking kind of thing
Mhm.
where I invited only A, close friends and family, but B, only guests I've had on my podcast, only
That's
the
cool.
guests. And because like I'd always be sitting across from someone and they'd be telling me their story, and then something comes up and I think to myself, ooh, they need to meet this person I interviewed 2 months ago. And then that
Oh,
happened frequently enough that I was connecting people
you're a
via email.
connector.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
love that.
It's
I
a
feel like I'm a connector too. I
it's
love connectors.
it's a title that someone told me like 3 months ago or so. They're like, you're a connector,
Yeah.
and I was like, am I? And they're like, oh yeah, you do it all the time.
It's an important thing, and I think it's an artistry as well because you're keeping something in your mind, and then when that little light goes off, you're out there in society somewhere else or whatever, and somebody goes, "Oh, well, I this or I that." You go, "Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
I met someone 2 months ago that needed that." And you go, "Hold on, let me connect that." That's an important thing in the world, I think.
Yeah, I love doing it. If someone told me a while ago, they're like, you need to monetize that somehow, and I was like, I just love like the idea of like putting two people I know together
Mm.
and then seeing them like do something crazy. Like
Yeah,
or just finding great success or even just like mentoring each other or like I just love
whatever it
hearing
is.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I heard a success story, I guess, like a couple weeks ago where I connected somebody that was in like it was like real estate to somebody that I knew that needed help like getting into real estate. And now she's like one of the top performing
Wow,
real estate agents, like period,
that's
in
awesome.
Georgia. And it's
That's
like,
gorgeous.
I was like, wow, like, sure, she probably would have still gotten there, but maybe my little piece of putting her in touch with someone that I know is really good at real estate and social media and networking and all that stuff, if that had any bit of play in it, that's really cool to know. But to get back to it, so like I threw this party and like the whole time, like I'm just like, maybe it's a little ego involved, but like I'm sitting back and I'm like looking at like, 85 people just like chatting. And I'm like, they all have at least one thing in common, and it's me.
That's
They
cool.
all did the same thing.
Is that ego involved? I mean,
I don't know. Like maybe there's a piece of like, haha, I did this, but it
oh,
doesn't, I don't feel that way though.
yeah.
Someone could assume that, I think.
But that would be true for anybody who is aligning with what they're supposed to be doing in life. I
Mm,
mean, I could step back from my artwork and be like,
yeah.
I did that. That's
Yeah.
cool. So I think that's alignment. I
Yeah.
think that's alignment.
I like that thought. And so I'm currently looking into places to allow me to throw that party again. So stay tuned. Now you're in the club.
So I was just speaking with my business partner about something like this, and he goes, Anita, why don't we throw a business shower? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love that especially because I mean, it kind of came about with a couple of different things, and he's amazing, and he's so helpful to me, but, my daughter was having a baby shower
Mm.
because I'm getting ready to be a grandmother, and then it was like, "Anita, why don't we do a business shower?" I mean, it's the start of something larger. I mean, I've had Darling Derma Ink for about a year, well, and done paramedical tattoo longer than that, but yeah, I loved the idea.
So what's like the concept of a business shower? Just like a networking party? Kind of like what I described?
I think
Like I had
so.
like this was so cool, dude. Like I had every piece of that party was put together by someone who had been a guest on the podcast. For instance, like all of the alcohol was provided by Good Days that
I love that.
sponsor the podcast, and I interviewed the founder. All of the food was provided by someone I run their social media here in Cartersville. I run their business account, and they're a bagel shop, and so they do all these cool like sandwiches and like
Oh, cool.
they do like a cool charcuterie thing. And so I interviewed their founder on the podcast too. And then like dessert, like I got this girl who I knew that did like cupcakes and I interviewed her too. So like every little piece of the puzzle was put together by somebody that was directly on the show. And so it
Well, I
was
think
so cool.
yeah, I love that, and I love the idea of it, and because you're feeding one another. They're listeners. You're the eater of the cupcake.
Mhm.
So, but, with a business shower, I think it would also be friends because, what do they say? There's a statistic that says, like, that friends are less likely to be clients,
Mhm.
but then, okay, have a business shower and make sure they are clients, and if they're not clients, then they're getting you clients. They're collecting business cards and they're so that they can go out in the world and become connectors. And I don't know, the idea like that.
Yeah, I'm cooking some stuff up right now. Both on that podcast party front and just networking in general. I feel like networking is really in a lot of places like really poorly handled. It feels really cheesy and not authentic and not relationship driven. Instead, people are just like, "Oh, what can you do for me? And I'll see what I can do for you." Like that's not networking to me. I feel like this is networking. And so
Yeah.
like how can you take that and put it on a bigger scale? So stay tuned. I'm cooking some stuff.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes because I love a good room of people. Like I love walking into a space and like there's like a group of people.
Yeah.
And especially it helps if you know all of the people.
Yeah.
But like that fuels me. But then also like turning the lights off, shutting the shades, and like sitting in the dark, watching TV or playing video games or writing or
Putting the
whatever,
Legos together.
or putting Legos together. That really fills my cup too. So sorry, long winded answer for a short question, but I guess both.
Yeah. I think it's good when we're both. I think we can dance between them, but it also makes you a better connector
Yeah.
because you have that flexibility. There's no rigidity in there. So,
I just caught something you said and I'm going to address it.
okay.
Okay. You said both. Both. BOLTH. You said both.
BOLT.
People from the north say both.
Oh, really?
People down here do not. I said
You
both
said-
forever. And then I dated a girl when I got down here and she was like, what? She would like make fun of me. She was like, both. And so I trained myself to not say it anymore. But then I made friends with these guys in this couple in the last 5 years or so. And they moved down from New York and he says both. And I was like, dude,
What-
you're my people.
what does Georgia say?
Both. BOTH. They say it how it's spelled, but people from the north typically add an L in there. Both. Because
So
my mom says it.
I've oddly been asked a lot of times in my life if I'm from the north, and I think it's because of my pronunciation. But here's the thing: I went to so many different schools growing up that the one thing that was always the same, because we didn't have what is that core curriculum? I don't know.
Common Core.
Common Core, yeah. Every time we would get somewhere, it was all the lessons. It's like I'd already learned that, or oh, I haven't learned that yet, and they're already 10 steps ahead, whatever. But the one thing that didn't change was I can spell and pronounce and, speak
Yeah.
English.
Enunciate properly.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so weird the different parts of the country saying things a different way. It's just weird that comes, but I guess it all stems back from when I guess they say like when the pioneers or whatever came over, like they all separated into the 13 colonies and then each of them spoke a different dialect. That was all the same language, but they spoke it in different ways. And that's how we have like Southern accents or Northern accents or Boston accents.
Oh, when I went from Oregon to Brunswick, St. Simon's area, Jekyll Island, there is the Gullah Gullah there as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Gullah Gullah, but oh my gosh, they were speaking English. I was listening to this woman one day and I thought, oh, I'm not really sure if I understand what she said. And I said something to a friend. I said, I don't, what did she say? And she was like, oh, she's Gullah Gullah. So, really interesting story. If you don't know it, look it up. It's beautiful. And they're just a colony of people that are down Blythe Island, Jekyll Island, St. Simon's Island area. And they speak a really interesting dialect.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So, I mean, I was just saying, like, I would totally identify with that. I've been all over the America. I can use just about any accent. So, it's my party trick.
Yeah.
So, if we do have one of those business showers, we can
You should just come in every time as a different accent.
just
And people
come
will be
in
like, what's her
every
deal?
time it's a different accent.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely.
Yeah, that would be lovely. You're pretty good at that. That's pretty good. I want to continue this conversation, my friend, but first I'm going to tell you about another one of my friends, Branded and Devoted Designs. Anita, we all have been to these networking events. We've all been to golf tournaments. We've all been to these things where we get a goodie bag sometimes, maybe a pen or a tee or a pair of sunglasses or some kind of merch that sometimes it just feels so cheap and it just feels like they threw it together because they felt like they had to. And we've all been there, but if you want something that packs a punch, but people will remember you, you should hit up Branded and Devoted Designs, because if you guys are listening and you guys run a business or a brand or an organization of some kind, your brand deserves better than boring swag. If you contact my friends at Branded and Devoted Designs, You can level up with custom hats, shirts, tumblers, mugs, and more that your customers and your clients will brag about. If you go to their website and you tell them that Logan sent you, they'll give you 10% off your order. I've worked with these guys also forever. They make all of my shirts and mugs and tumblers and jackets and everything that I want with my logo on it. They make it and they don't disappoint. And they're a local company right here in Bartow County, and we love them so much. So again, go to their website, brandedanddevoted.designs.com, and you'll get 10% off for telling them that Logan from the podcast sent you. Yeah, I love the whole
That was
event.
amazing. You practiced that?
What?
You
The ad
you
read?
have to practice
No.
that. That was
No.
great.
Just simply from doing it on episodes. That's it.
Oh, well, that was pretty good. I
Thanks,
was like,
girl.
wow.
Let's go.
Just some reassurance for you.
Thank you for that. You know I need it. So thank you for that. That's filling my cup too. I want to talk to you about your daughter. I want to hear personally more about that because, I tell a lot of people this. I really don't do a lot of research about people before they come in. I'll meet with them for a cup of coffee or jump on the phone with them like you and I did, just so that they can tell that I'm not a psychopath and that they're comfortable coming to my home to chat with me for an hour or two. So I don't do a ton of research behind people. I do very little, but so that I can learn authentically and have like a real conversation with
Yeah,
you
of course.
rather than me knowing all of the details before we talk.
That would be hard.
So I just kind of want to ask you, like, first tell me her, like, who is she? Whatever you want to say. Yeah, well, I guess we'll just start there. How old was she when? Yeah, I don't even. This is the first time, if I'm being completely honest, I've had to have a super serious conversation like this. So like, I just don't know the protocol. So I'll just go into it. What's your daughter's name?
Her name was Marie-Ange. Her name was Marie-Ange. We just called her Marie.
Okay.
It was just a beautiful name.
Yeah, where'd that name come from?
I was driving across the country and I was listening to, I'm gonna date myself, a book on tape.
Oh God,
A book on tape. Yeah.
you got bingo after this?
At the VFW. I was listening to a book on tape and I don't even remember what book it was, but the guy kept saying this woman's name and he was saying Marie-Ange, Marie-Ange. And I thought at first, oh my gosh, what a complicated name. Could you not have chosen an easier name for the book for heaven's sake? And by the end of the book and, you know, hundreds of miles across the country, I was like, that name grew on me. And she was in my stomach at the time. And I just thought, actually, I really like that name. I mean, obviously it was French. And I thought I'm gonna look into that a little more. It was spelled Marie, like a Marie. And I thought, well, here in America, they're just gonna say Marie. And I don't want them to say that. I want them to say Marie-Ange.
Mariage.
Marie-Ange.
Hmm.
So I spelled it Maury-Ange. And, Ange is angel in French,
Okay.
and so I named her Marie-Ange,
Very cool.
and it fit her
Yeah,
well. She was like a little high-class hippie.
that's a fun way of describing her.
Yeah,
And so she went missing, right? And you can give as many or as little details as you want to fill in the blanks of what I throw at you. But so how old was she when the last time you saw her?
gosh, it was a couple days before she passed away. I went to see her, picked her up. We had a fantastic day. We went and had sushi on the little conveyor belt sushi roll places, and I hadn't been to one of those. She hadn't been to one of those, so we had a lot of fun. And then, we went and saw the Barbie movie, so it was right when the Barbie movie had come out.
Okay.
We went to the
So
theater.
very recent,
Yeah.
just a couple years ago.
This August will be 3 years since she passed away. So it was 3 years ago with that movie, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It really doesn't.
Like, oh.
That seems like it was just last year, but
Mhm. Yeah. So we went and saw the movie and, walked around the mall, asked her if she needed anything, or I took her back and, she didn't. I well, no, we went to Lush. She got a couple things at Lush. Asked her if she needed any clothes, if we needed to shop for that. She said she just didn't have the energy, and so I took her back, and, she was living in a rehab at the time. She had become an addict of fentanyl, which is a horrible, horrible someone dies every 15 minutes in America of fentanyl overdose, and it's by the time I had realized that's what was happening with her, got her to a rehab, and I had to have a lot of realizations, like You can parent all the right ways, and your children end up finding something that you didn't expect. I never taught my children about drugs. I taught them about being a good human being. I taught them about regular manners. I taught
How to
them,
be a person.
yeah, how to be a good person. I didn't teach them about drugs because I didn't know about drugs, because why would I bring that into their
Mhm.
awareness?
Yeah, because then you'll just pique their interest.
Yeah, wasn't a
Just
part of
because,
our lives.
just because that's how kids are.
Right.
They're interested.
She had been in ballet for 13 years. She was violin, spoke French. She, I mean, took them to those things. We had a totally typical, like, normal, they didn't want for anything, like, none of my children. So it was not something that I thought, "Oh, this could get into our household. This could infiltrate us. This could, you know, figure out how to get to one of my children." Yeah.
So she just fell in with the wrong people?
She met someone that I was outside of her normal friend group, and that person led her to another person, led her to another person.
Yep.
And I knew something had changed when all of a sudden, like, there was a girl she really loved who she was amazing with. It was her ROTC group. She was a decorated ROTC kid and did competitive ROTC, amazing at it. And it was suddenly that she didn't want to hang with those people. Suddenly
Mm.
that she wasn't wanting to go back to ballet. So I was like, and then things in her personality had changed that I was like, what? This isn't you. Where's this coming from? Where's this stemming from? Um, so I had taken her back to her rehab that she still had another month to be at before she could be released on more free fluid days. And we were talking about planning a day that next week, what we would do. Dropped her back off. She didn't want to stay, but she knew she needed to stay. And promised her, okay, well, that next week I was going to be back. I'll pick her up. We'll have another great day. And that Friday, that was like a Thursday. That Friday, something had happened where she had taken or ingested something that interfered with her prescription medications. They called the ambulance. The ambulance came. They said, she's almost manic. We don't know what to do with her. They called the police just to reinforce her. And this is like a 90-pound, 20-year-old person. This isn't, some hulk of a girl. So, but apparently she was like a spider monkey with those ROTC skills. And doesn't surprise me. She was athletically inclined, and they ended up taking her to a jail, which they should have taken her to a hospital. She wasn't arrested. She merely went there. I think they were going to let her detox or whatever it was that way, even though they didn't know what she had ingested, which is so confusing. But they weren't prepared, just like, I wasn't prepared. Unfortunately, they should have been. And I had no idea she wasn't arrested. I thought, oh my gosh, you got arrested. But I've also always been a parent that was like, okay, you dug your hole, sit there for a minute, let me know how that goes, and then we'll figure it out. So I thought, okay, well, if you got arrested, sit there. I'll get you out on Monday. That Monday rolled around. I was on my way to get her, left a work meeting in order to go get her. And on my way, she texted me and just said, "Hey, mama, I caught a ride." And I thought, you caught a ride from who? And from what I said and what she said, it ended up, I thought that the rehab had sent someone to retrieve her, and so I thought, "Okay," I was kind of mad about it. I had already driven an hour all the way from Alpharetta to Gwinnett to I was like, "Are you serious?" Middle of the day, and I turned around and I went back home, and I felt really strange about it, uneasy about it. It was no one from the rehab. I ended up calling the rehab, a couple hours later saying, "Hey, where's Maury at? I need to talk to her. Like, this is weird." They said she left with the guy they didn't know. That man ended up taking her to his house in Cherokee County. She went missing from there. And yeah, the story continues. She was missing for 6 months. So it was a lot.
Yeah. 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 That just sounds like, and this is unfortunate, and I don't want to, minimize y'all's experiences, but I feel like this story is told a lot. People get picked up by somebody from a place that really should only allow a parent to pick up, in my opinion. I mean, I have no you would just think that the only person that would be allowed to pick someone up from a facility where they're getting help for something that they seriously struggle with, you'd think that the only people that could come are mom or dad.
That's really just not in place in this country. They're like, "She's 20. She's a 20-year-old person. She's an adult."
That's bullshit, though.
And I'm like,
It doesn't matter if you're 40.
"But it's but we signed her in here." But, rehabs are not medical facilities like you would think, and so it was really unfortunate. She ended up now getting in a car with someone she didn't know, and there was this thing I watched when I was a kid. I don't know if you ever know this movie, but it was called All I Know Is My First Name Is Steven. And I watched that movie and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and in the movie, the kid gets kidnapped, and he's too scared to talk to anyone because everyone is a stranger. So I thought, when I'm older and I have kids, I'm gonna teach my kids to talk to people, because if anything ever happens to them, I want them to talk to someone and be like, "Hey, I'm not with who I'm supposed to be, like, I'm in trouble." And so, to that detriment, like, Maury was the kind of person who would talk to anyone, and she would make anyone feel good. She would make friends with a 90-year-old the same as she would make friends with an 8-year-old while she was 15 years old, you know? And so, that was just a part of who she was. Talk to everyone. Treat everyone like they are someone because they are. And she was really cool like that. I loved that about her. I that's one of the things that's the hardest, losing her, is I know I will never be loved the way she loved me ever again in the world.
You sure?
Mhm. Yeah. Everybody loves you different, the way that they love you.
Yeah.
That was just the way she loved me. She loved me like the person I was, not just being her way.
Yeah, that separates it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, she sounds extraordinary.
She was very sparkly.
Okay, so you call the rehab facility. She gets picked up. She gets taken somewhere in Cherokee County, goes missing from there. I mean, I hate to make this comparison, but like, we all watch, maybe you don't, but a lot of us watch these documentaries on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these places that throughout these murder mystery documentaries or these kidnapping documentaries or these whodunit documentaries. And that's the only experience I have in my life to something like this. I'm lucky in that I haven't had to go through something like this. But like, so where do you go from, you get off the phone with the rehab facility, you probably call, were you guys married at the time still? Or were you separated?
No, I was divorced.
Okay. So do you at any point do you loop him in and say something's going on? And like, how does that work? Like, how does it go from this is weird to something's wrong, like something seriously wrong?
I knew immediately something was seriously wrong because my children are such communicators with me that I was like, I saw her read my last message at 10 o'clock that night. It says read. And I'm like, and then she didn't answer. And I was like, that's strange. Okay. I don't know what to do with that. I'm going to have to text friends. Who would she text? Who would she call? Okay. I'm going to do that. Um, the middle of the night, though, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had had a strange dream about her curling up next to me and whispering in my ear. And I was like, something happened. I don't know what happened, but I got up that next day and I immediately called the police station. I called where I lived, which was Alpharetta, and they're
Mm.
like, "Oh, but she was last seen." I made an appointment with them. I went in. I was like, "My daughter's missing. You need to." Oddly, one of the police officers there had met her. They were like, "I've met this girl. Hold on." And they said she's, because of the name. I said the name and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I met this girl." And it was like a year before, but they were like, "She was stunning, beautiful girl." I was talking to her and going like, "What is this girl doing with her life? Like, and that was just before I had gotten her into rehab and whatnot. So, I mean, she was already going down a path that was like different than what she was projected originally, like as far as she was raised to do something amazing. They were like, I had talked to this girl. I remember that name. And then they described her to me, and I was like, "Yes." And I bring out pictures, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the girl. Oh my gosh." And they said, "But you can't report her missing here. She went missing in Gwinnett. You gotta go to Gwinnett." I'm like, "This is not connected?" So people don't realize it's not connected. Police stations are not connected. Everything's disconnected. So I had to drive to Gwinnett then and say, "Hey, I need to make a missing persons report." And they're like, "Oh, she's 20. You can't, you don't need to do that." And I'm like, "I don't care. She's 20 and she's my daughter and she would have called me." They're like, "Well, I mean, you can make an appointment." I don't want an appointment. I want to report my daughter missing right now. Well, we'll see if we can find someone to help you with that. Yeah. And it was
That's
hours.
crazy, dude.
It was crazy. I waited for hours up in Gwinnett waiting to see
Hours?
for an officer to be available in order for me to make a report that my daughter was missing.
Ugh.
It ended up being 3 days after she was missing before I was allowed to get that report made. Like, my kid's missing for 3 days. She's 20. Yeah, I know she's 20, so
Yeah.
I know people that normally call me. I know people's normal patterns that
Yeah.
are close to me.
Yeah. This is not a pattern.
This is
This is
out of the
outside of the
ordinary of
pattern.
the pattern, yeah. My kid calls me. She wouldn't have read my message and not answered me. What's going on? I wanna know.
Because of course they want to, and this isn't, all law enforcement, of course, but in that moment they're probably thinking, oh, well, this is just this girl's first sign of rebellion. She's going to go outside of her parents' wishes. She's going to not answer them for a night. She's going to make silly kid decisions like as kids do.
And
So
sh
they're probably thinking like, get over it. She'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, they're like, "She's been in a rehab. She may have relapsed. You
Yeah.
gotta give it a minute. She's on someone's couch." Like, no.
Still, I don't
No.
care if she's on someone's couch. I want to know where she's at.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just all the factors lining up told me, "Nope, this is worse than that. This is much worse than that. I've gotta do something." I was in a panic. I first took a friend with me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just know. I just know it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna worry about the worst thing possible." It was something in me as a mom, and my intuition is telling me something is really bad, really off, really not okay right now. And the morning after I had had that dream, I got up and my younger daughter and I were sitting at breakfast and I was getting ready to take her to school. She was in her junior year of high school and she said, "Mama, had a strange dream last night. And have you talked to Mari today? I had a strange dream about Mari." I said, "No, baby, I haven't, but I'll get a hold of her today." And I took her to school and I still had that unsettled feeling. My oldest daughter called me and she said, "Mama, hey, so I had this horrible dream last night. Have you talked to Mari?" All three of us, my oldest lives in Virginia. My youngest lives in the same house with me, obviously different bedrooms, but all three of us woke up around the same time with a strange dream about Maury. So I was like, no, this is something. We all have intuition. So what happened to Maury? It was 2 months before I would get any real news. The case had to be transferred from Gwinnett to Cherokee because then her last known location was in Cherokee County.
And how did they figure that out? Like, are they able to?
They tracked the guy that picked her up.
Okay.
They tracked the guy, they had him on camera footage, they
Okay.
figured out who he was, they got his license plate and she had texted me from his phone, so I had his phone number, had the guy's phone number.
Wow.
So, it was like it wasn't that hard to track down that she had gone to Cherokee next, but it sat on a desk and went out for 30 days with really nothing being done with it,
That's
while
crazy.
I'm flipping out going like, "My whole person, human being is gone. Where is she?" This 30 days goes by. And I'm staying on them. "Hey, hey, hey," email, text, leaving messages, please. It was so hard to get a hold of them. And it's a panic too, because every day you're waking up and you're going, "Okay, I gotta live normal life here," but at the same time, there's a whole person missing, and you're not taking me seriously.
So what kind of things do you, because I'm sure you got to a point during that process of waiting for it to be even transferred to Cherokee County that you were like, well, I'm going to try to do what I can and we're going to do what we can. So, like, what do you do? Like,
Calling her friends, I'm texting, I'm staying in contact. I knew her very closest friends in the world, So it was like, okay,
Mhm.
if by some weird chance she's ashamed and she's not gonna reach out to me, she's gonna reach out to them. There's gonna be a sign of life somehow. So I'm researching those and I'm still working, which feels horrible because the whole time you're like, maybe my kid's in someone's basement.
Yeah.
Maybe she's in Cambodia. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you
No,
don't know.
you
Really,
don't know.
I have a whole person that's in the world somewhere and I don't know where she is. And it's life changing. And you're just kind of going, how am I gonna I'm gonna have to wake up every day and go through this. And I've got 2 other kids who are affected by this. This is their sister. I've always taught my kids, hey, this is the girl who, if you get married, she's gonna be right next to you. If you have children, she's gonna be holding your hand. All these huge pivotal things in your life, this girl's gonna be there. And you always have your sister's back. No matter what, you have your sister's back. My other girls are, going through their senior or junior and senior year of high school. And then my oldest is going through, she's in the Navy and she's going through a lot on her own and stressors on her own. But I wanted to stay very conscious during this entire thing because I had endured something similar to it in the past. Oddly, unfortunately, my brother was killed. It was his senior year as well. I watched my parents in that time, and it's not anything to their discredit. They totally disappeared in that. I chose flowers for my brother's funeral. I spoke for my brother's funeral. It was like, and I'm a 17-year-old kid who's like, I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to live in the world without my big brother.
He was murdered?
So my brother was murdered. He was missing for a week, and he had been killed. So
I don't wanna
then,
pry, but do
no,
they know at any do they know anything or they
uh,
catch the person or people?
the person was never like the person never went to jail for
Understood.
any of it. It was one of those weird backwoods, complicated, really uncomplicated cases.
Well, I say understood, but I don't get it.
It was one of those things though that gave me perspective. I'm not saying would I am I happy about that, but it made me see that my daughter was going through her junior and senior year of high school and she still needed me there. I thought growing up my whole life that I would walk in graduation with my big brother. We were in the same grade. And then he passed away in January 4th, which was, 20 some odd years later, my daughter was found on the same day
Shut up.
as the day my brother died. Yeah. And then I graduated that May, and it was like, I'm not walking with my brother today. My parents did not come to my graduation. They were still very devastated by my brother's death. I did it on my own. And I
So
was
that
like,
consumed them to the point of, like, they didn't even go to your graduation,
yeah.
their other kids' graduation.
Mhm.
And so that probably I'm just assuming here because I'm just putting myself in your shoes then. Like, I have the validation and attention and reassurance issues I have now, and I didn't go through that. So I can't even imagine, like, it sounds so horrible to say, but you could be thinking in your head, "Well, hello, I'm still
I'm
here.
sorry.
I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Put 10% of effort on me." Better than and that maybe that's not right to say because it's not to say they only gave you 10% or less than 10%, but, like, give me something. Come to my graduation.
I don't know. I think it was such a whirlwind at the time that I didn't exactly remember. And I was in such a devastation about losing him that it was like, I'm here today. I made it here today, you know? So I was more in that mindset. And then it was later looking back, I was like, wait a minute. You didn't even, was
Yeah.
upset about it.
And
But
then so
then
what year did you graduate? What year did he pass?
1998.
Okay, so this was before cell phones and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
you're a senior in high school and your brother he's gone.
Mm.
What's that like going through school? Do people, like, walk on eggshells around you or, like, people, like, treating you was it something that was widely known in you lived in a small town, so everyone
Tiny.
knew,
Yeah,
right?
we only had I mean, we were supposed to graduate with obviously
32.
32, but we graduated with 31 because my brother passed away, but oddly, I had 2 best friends. One of my best friends so my brother passes away the beginning of January. Last day I ever saw my brother was Christmas Day. And my girlfriend, one of my best girlfriends, her brother passed away the week before Christmas in a house fire.
My God.
So we just leaned in. I mean, whether everybody was looking at us or not, both of our brothers had passed away within that 2 weeks. And we literally, it was great. I mean, we still talk today. We're still in touch today. We still love each other today. We were like, it was maybe a couple of months after that that another girlfriend's brother passes away in a car accident. And so we just sort of like, we have this group of us. There's probably 4 of us right within that amount of time that everyone's brother had passed away. And so it was like to have that group of people all in different ways that understood.
Yeah.
We just kind of had that. We all communicate still to this day.
Well, and I know where you were going with it, with saying, like, of course, you're not glad your brother was killed. No one would be. But it showed you what how your parents handled
Yeah.
it, and so you took note of that whether you knew you were taking note of it or not, to then unfortunately have to go through a similar process with your own daughter. You think, "Okay, well, I can't shun my other children."
Yeah. They're still alive, they're still here, and I was fortunate all through that with my brother. I wrote a lot. I'm a writer. I love to write, and even through losing Maury, it's like I wrote a lot, but yeah, I used that as an outlet, writing, but I also knew to lean into my kids and allow them to see me as a human, not just their mom, and be vulnerable with them, not say, "Here's all my emotional weight, now you carry it." I was responsible for it, but at the same time, their sister died, my daughter died. I was gonna break, and they were too, rightly so. And still to this day, the trial hasn't happened for her case. It's set for later this year. We still have to lean into it now.
This is gonna sound maybe silly, but I'm curious because obviously a wound like this doesn't close very easy.
Mm.
You don't This isn't one that you can just run over with your your tattoo gun. This isn't something that you can just seal away. So, I guess what I'm about to ask is, like, are you upset that it's took this long to get to trial for this? Because it's almost like it happened in that time when Barbie came out a few years ago. You went through it over the course of the next 6 months or so, and then you slowly, very slowly but surely had to just, this sounds so cold, but you just had to get back to life. And then now here we are a couple years later and we're going to trial, and then all of this is just going to get back opened all back up again, and it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard. Like, are you frustrated? Do you see where I'm going with this?
I
Of like,
do, but it never got to close because we've had to do bond hearings.
yeah.
So it's like, you don't really realize in these big cases like this how that plays out over a course of years. And,
Yeah,
you know,
what's a bond hearing or a bond case or
so then each time, so really there were 5 people arrested
relation?
yeah, in connection to Maury's death. And so all of those people arrested, like they have the opportunity to get bond before they go to prison. So
Mm.
they request it and then we have a bond hearing and I've got to speak each time as a victim of that case. I've had to just change my perception and use it as practice for the big case. Okay, I'm going to speak at a bond hearing today. Okay, I have to zero in on the points that the judge is going to make her decisions based on. I've got to address that with this specific person who is requesting bond and how they related to the case and what factors are going to lean into this judge understanding like this isn't okay with me and society, because that's really what that comes down to. And then of course my habit of just writing that out and relieving myself because that's where my artistry happens and that turnover happens. And yeah, it's frustrating, but you want the case to happen just right. So you get to where you have the patience for it because the DA, the victims advocates, they're in communication with you and they really sit down and you have some of the most honest conversations you've ever had to have because it's about the death of someone that, I mean, essentially for me, that my body made
Yeah.
and I raised this
Literal piece of
person.
you is gone.
Yeah. And yeah, I had to learn how to have those difficult conversations about Maury, addiction, get comfortable with that. And as I opened up a bit more about that, you would not believe how many people sent me messages saying, my kid this, my kid that, saying that their children had addictions at one time or still had an addiction. They didn't know what to do. This is a really scary thing in America right now. And I think a lot of people don't even realize it's sitting there under their radar.
No, I don't think they do. I saw a Facebook post the other day that just said, "This is random, but everyone needs to hear this slash read this. Trafficking exists in Bartow County." And people in the comments, some people just have this, like, whatever you want to call it, trait, I guess. Some people just operate in this world of like, "Oh, that doesn't happen here." It happens
Happens here.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in the nicest of towns, the safest of areas, that shit happens everywhere.
Well, and that's what we thought had happened to Maury in the very first place. Like, she's been trafficked.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's been trafficked. I started speaking for at the Rotary in Roswell, like trying to figure out, okay, how
Yeah.
nobody's there to give you directions on how to navigate
No,
a lost
there's
person.
another handbook that's never been written. It's what do you do when you have a child that goes missing?
Yeah, for sure. And then I haven't written that handbook, but I don't think I'm going to write that handbook.
I don't want you to.
But I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want it to happen to anybody else. You get into this club that you don't wanna be part of, and you're like, "Great, I'm in that club of, my child has gone missing." And then, for my case, my child has passed away, and, uh, and that was still a journey in itself. It was 2 months before an investigator came to me and said, "Anita, there are no signs of life for Maury. Even if she had been trafficked, we track her here, we track her there, we track this, we track that, but we can't track after that point." That means something, and it's like that inner knowing in me was like, "I knew, I knew, I knew, I knew. Oh my gosh," I don't want that to be the case, but yeah,
And I hate to ask this too, because again, this all just sounds so cold, but I hope it comes from genuine curiosity and nothing more than that.
I've had to talk about it a lot, so,
Well, I mean, like when you get that call that,
no, he came to my house. It was 8
yeah,
o'clock at night, and he said, "Anita, I need to come over to the house." And he was amazing. Like, the Cherokee County,
I was gonna say, who's this? The DA
they're
that came?
amazing. That's Cherokee County investigator.
Okay.
Who was still texts me to this day, "Hey, I'm checking up on you." This is 3 years later,
That's
and
so
this
kind.
yeah, and this person's like, "Your daughter impacted me in every other case that I have." He said, "I did this for 35 years, and no one ever kept me up at night the way Maury's case kept me up at night." He was amazing that when it got transferred to Cherokee County, he said, "I want you to come in here, and I want you to meet with me." I met with him. I said, "My daughter I think something horribly detrimental happened to my daughter," and he said, "I believe you." He looked me in the eyes. I never once got to meet with anyone in Gwinnett. They never wanted to meet and, like, hear my urgency.
I hope you hear this, Gwinnett.
It was horrible.
So he came to your doorstep.
He came e e well, he had already, met with me, but then after a month of talking back and forth, after a week, he had already gotten, a warrants out for certain people and, search warrants out. It was amazing. It was 7 days, and this guy was already tracking her phone, tracking everything where this hadn't been done, and I've 37 days in, and I'm going, "Hey, my kid is still missing." He literally he says, "Anita, we need to stop and talk. I need to come to the house." He comes to the house, he's got someone else in tow, ends up being a victim's advocate, and he tells me, "There's no signs of life." That means something. We've gotta do something about that. He had other factors that played into it that made him believe that Maury had passed away, and he wanted to talk to me about those factors and then go from there. And pretty much they were factors that were saying 100% she has passed away. There's no question, but we don't have her remains.
Okay. So even then, like at that moment, you're still like, well, we
Right.
think
There's a strand, right?
there is a sliver of, but you're wrong, but you could be wrong.
Maybe my daughter's out there and I can get her back
Yeah.
and we can recover her and she'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe
She'll be
she
okay.
escaped and she's on the run and she's just looking for a way home and she doesn't know where she's at. She's, all these things. And then, so then I guess just from there to the day that, and so I don't know how it all came. So they found her.
No, there's no search party that goes out to find anybody.
So we still don't know
No,
today.
we do know.
Oh, okay.
Her remains were found by a young couple on a road that really has nothing, no reason to drive down there. They happen to have had some car issues. They ended up uh the next day wanting to jump in their car at lunchtime and see if their car would run properly. They go down a desolate road. The car breaks down right at her. They get out of the car and make the discovery. And by this time, the case is transferred to Cobb because they had found, oh, she went from Cherokee to Cobb, which not connected again. So it had to go from these investigators to a whole new set of everybody. Then it's like learning to get comfortable with new people and,
Retelling your story over and over and over
over
again.
and over and over and over and over. So, you see that I can say the story, but it's like I've told the story a lot of times.
It almost makes you wanna say, "Hey, to save us the time, I recorded it and it's on this little iPod. Just go listen to it and then come back to me because 'cause I'm tired of retelling this story."
But at the same time, sometimes they have new questions or they have a new angle, they have a new perception, they have a new something. So you're going, okay, maybe they're going to surface something that I haven't even thought of. So you want to tell it because you're
Mhm.
like, please help me get my daughter back.
That's a good point.
I'm thirsty to get my daughter back. Anything you can do, anything you're going to give me, anything, anything, anything.
Yeah.
And then we get her back, right? We get her back, right? Life can go
Resume.
back, right?
Yeah.
And even if they wanted to talk to me every day, I didn't care. I was like, I'm just trying to get her back. And so a young couple finds her, and the Cherokee County investigator texts me one day. So that's on a Thursday that they find her. And he texts me on Friday. He said, Anita, look at this news broadcast. I pull the news broadcast up and I know immediately. They say on the broadcast that they believe these animal remains have been found. I'm like, since when do they broadcast animal remains being found? This is my daughter. And it's like she's tapping me on the shoulder, going, Mama, it's okay. It's me. It's okay. It's me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I call the coroner in Tennessee and I'm like, I believe you have my daughter. And they're not used to getting that call. This is a strange case. So they said, "Well, why would you think that, ma'am?" I said, the remains that you brought in on Thursday, I believe they're my daughter. They said, well, there are a few ways to identify that right away. We did hydrate a portion of skin that has a tattoo on it. And I said, what was the tattoo? They said it was a crane. I said, it's on her back. And they said, yes, there is a crane on the um
The bird,
the
the crane?
rehydrated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the machine.
I just wanted to be sure. I figured who's getting a tattoo of a,
She had a beautiful bird crane.
and so as soon as they on that phone call, as soon as they confirmed that,
I mean, we still had dental records that I had already turned in to the GBI and to investigators and worked with them and whatnot. But at the same time, they knew that they had a person who had a crane tattoo on their back, and I could locate exactly where and how it was situated. And I sent them a picture of it, and they said, yes, that is the tattoo that is on this person's back. So
I'm
I knew
sorry.
after 6 months of thinking any amount of wild things that you could possibly think, there was this strange, like, relief where you go, "Oh my god, I haven't slept in 6 months or breathed properly in 6 months," because you don't do that when your kid is missing. You don't lay your head on a pillow and think, "Ah, that's cozy." You're not warm or cold or anything. You're just like, "My kid's missing." So I can't do any of that stuff,
Yeah.
without wondering if my kid's being tortured or so there was, like, this strange relief that went through me that I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank God," in a weird way.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's almost like when it's like this is no way relates, but a few years ago my mother-in-law passed away and she was battling this cancer for
Mm.
years and years and years that they told her she had 6 months to live, but she fought with it for like 7 years.
Tormented worry.
And so when she passed, my wife was just like, "I'm happy that she's not living in that shell of a body that she once was, this full, bright, full of life human." And she, over those years, just shrunk and shriveled and just became this thing.
And she was still conscious and aware and fully aware that she was changing
Mhm.
and life was changing, and those are permanent things. You're not it's not gonna click back. So, yeah, it was like that.
In that moment, you're horrified and there's not words that can describe it, but then there's a piece of you that's like, well, at least she's not suffering anymore,
That's
or she's not on the run, or she's not terrified in someone's
scared,
basement or fearful for her life or
being tortured, being raped,
yeah.
being anything. I was relieved in a really strange way, and, of course, the first people I wanted to know were her sisters. So, it was like, "Okay." And then, that was in then November comes, and we're just trying to no, no, no. Sorry, I get a little look at that. I get mixed up on the
Look
timeline
at
too.
you.
It was totally backward, but, I mean, it was months before we could have everyone in jail that needed to be in jail, but
Mhm.
then it was still also trying to I say this, and I mean it in the sense that it's like, I think every bad thing can be alchemized and make good energy out of it. So I always wanna flip it over. I always wanna figure out, well, how can I make something good out of this even though I'm gonna straight up suffer from it? And I understand I'm gonna be aware that I'm gonna suffer from this. It hurts. I don't know how to get back up, but what am I gonna do to pay it forward in the world in a good way? So it was writing and developing like a grief journal for other people. Losing a child is a different experience than losing a friend or a sibling or
Yeah.
a, spouse.
Coworker, someone close to you, losing one of yours.
Even a parent, though, I mean, you kind of go, well, they're older than me. They will probably pass away before me.
Right.
It's like the order of things. Your child isn't the order of things. Your child is my future.
No
We
parent should have to bury their child.
and we didn't get to bury Maureen. So that was part of alchemizing that energy and making something good in the world. The coroner came to me and they said, "Hey, listen, the interesting thing about your daughter is when we first got her skeletal remains, we thought she might be a guy because," and she was very dainty and very, but she didn't show signs of having a baby, although but her skull showed signs of being male. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's strange." And they said, but that comes with descent that could be from Hispanic nature. And we're interested in that. And we wondered if you would be interested in donating her remains to the University of Tennessee. And she will be on file there forever. And she'll be the youngest remains we have. And she will be studied by up and coming medical examiners until the end of time, pretty much here at the University of Tennessee.
And
And she was tapping me on the shoulder going, "Yeah, I knew I was special."
so her remains are there today.
They're there today. She has a case there, and I can go if I want. I did choose to go and sit with her remains. I wanted to see something that as a mom, I needed to not have that strand of, "Oh my gosh, maybe my daughter is out there somewhere though." And, she had on her front tooth, she had the same teeth as me, but on her front tooth, she had chipped it wrestling with her older sister, my oldest daughter. They were wrestling when she was 16 years old in the kitchen. I said, "Don't do that in here. You guys are gonna do something ridiculous and get hurt." And they're wrestling and she hit her tooth on the counter and it chipped a part of her tooth off. And I kept trying to take her to get it fixed, and she said, "I like it. It's kinda cute. It's a character."
It makes me stand out.
Yeah, and so I went and my younger daughter wanted to go as well, and we sat with her remains, and I saw her chipped tooth, and I knew as a mom, I was like, "Okay, like, this is her." And, they had cleaned her up. I mean, her bones were beautiful, very strange thing to say. But, yeah, he sat there for a couple of hours with her and just she was the only complete skeletal remains that they have. They were able to recover everything, so I don't know. I like to think that that's the amazing energy she puts out in the world. She still teaches people to this day. Oftentimes, if I wanna get away with that not telling people that my daughter has died because they have such a reaction from it, such a guttural reaction. I will say they'll say, "Oh, you have 3 daughters. What do your daughters do?" And I'll say, "Well, my oldest is in the Navy. She's amazing. She works in electrical engineering and for aircrafts, and my middle one is at the University of Tennessee teaching people and, in the archaeology department, and, my youngest is at KSU." So,
That's really clever
yeah,
because
I
it's
believe
true.
it. Yeah,
She is there doing that,
she is.
but it also just has it just you just dodge the question too because
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
want to retell that every damn day.
But here's the deal, it goes back to what we were talking about before, people you let in, people you don't let in,
Yeah,
and it's like everybody doesn't get a ticket to my show, if you
right.
wanna call it that,
Sure.
and, I have learned that I don't just hand everyone all the trust and hand over that story, I let them earn it.
Hmm. Today I'm renting.
"You're renting." No, you're not. No, we've had great conversation, I appreciate it, and it's still you're a connector, you're alchemizing. You're taking something and you're turning it into something, you're knitting it into something beautiful. So you never know what that's gonna be until later on sometimes, you know? Just like you said before, "Oh, I connect these 2 people and then they build something amazing."
Mhm.
Like, that's what we're doing. So,
It's
that's why
true.
I was on board for it. I was like, "Okay," and even if that is people benefiting from the grief journal that I wrote, people benefiting from I make other, like, things, like little grief candles and things like that, and it's like, we don't set enough time aside when you go through something really hard that changes you, that devastates you, you don't set enough time aside for grief. We're all about, "Okay, let's get back to life." And grief is so undescribable. You ask someone, "What does happiness look like?" You'd be able to describe it, normal reactions to happiness, and you ask someone, "What does sadness look like? What does anger look like?"
Yeah, but what's
And
grief?
but what's grief look like?
There's not a concrete definition.
There's not a concrete definition, and people don't take enough time to even realize that there isn't a concrete definition to grief. That was the first thing I asked my therapist when I walked in. "Tell me what grief looks like because I wanna know if that's what is happening here. Like, I need to know for myself, what does grief look like?" And she was like, "That's a funny question. Let's find out what your grief looks like." And I've spent the last couple years carving that out, like and then I want other people to carve that out too because we can't process it. You have to learn what is your process in grief? What is your process so that you can process that and not necessarily get on the other side of it, but understand it when it comes. Because grief is one of those funny things that 10 years later can bounce back like it was the first day. And I know that from experience. Someone recently said something very harsh to me. They said, "You don't corner the market on grief." And I went to a close friend of mine and I said, "This person said this to me. I don't know if I give them clout enough to believe it, but they said this to me." And they said, "Anita, I've heard your life story. You do corner the market on grief."
I'd
But,
say so.
you know, and in this case, my daughter wasn't just dead where she was dumped. She was missing first. It was that was a grief journey all its own. So I think that's where we're trying to get to, right? In the world, where we're turning all these things into something really beautiful. Tapestry, you think?
I do. I do. Okay, one more quick word from uh, a sponsor, and then we'll get you out of here.
Mm.
We'll close. Guys, I don't know how you do an ad after all that, but Hammerhead Creations, guys, if you're a business owner and your marketing feels scattered, if you do social media here and there, but you don't really love it, or if you have a website that you threw up when you started your business, but you're not passionate about it and it doesn't look great, and maybe you've been meaning to start a newsletter or a podcast or an email list or a YouTube channel, something of the sorts to get the word out there more, Hammerhead can help you put it all together. They work with small businesses and they help get real results, clarify your message, and yeah, get stuff out there that's not just noise, but has actual real meaning to it. So if you're tired of guessing and ready for a smarter marketing strategy, Hammerhead Creations is worth the look. Go to their website, hammerheadcreations.com, and you can check out ways to get in contact with them. First off, is just thank you for telling me all that. It's really powerful stuff. It's really eye-opening. I hope anybody listening to this does something with it. If you're a parent, maybe educate your kids on X, Y, or Z. Maybe make sure that you're, I don't know, every family's different, but like my wife and I, we share each other's locations. I know where she's at. I know where my mom and dad are at. We know where her dad's at because he's alone now and like he's older, it helps to know. So like whether you take it and apply something to your life that was maybe a loose screw that you could tighten a little bit just to see if you're, I'm diarrheaing of the mouth because I know that like even families that have it all together, stuff like this still happens. But like you want to try to think that anything you can do to try to prevent it would help. So like taking anything from this podcast and just applying it to your life. And maybe you're someone that's going through grief. Maybe you've lost someone recently. Maybe you lost a grandparent or your mom and dad or your sister or your daughter and you just need something to look for. I mean, you said you have these little grief journals, right? And then you've got like these little grief trinkets or whatever they are. I mean, can someone like go and buy them somewhere?
Yeah, they can buy them on my Etsy. It's a Darling Lifestyle, and they're candles you can light if you're like, okay, I need to just stop and talk to my person, um, or just oh, set a timer, light that candle, and say, I'm gonna use 5 minutes to just give myself right now. And grief journals that are helping you process how, what, when, where, why, and then just encouraging you because who doesn't need encouragement? The world's a pretty amazing place. We just got to learn that everything is just adjusting our perception, and our perception is something that we need to like turn around and use for good energy and like spread good things in the world.
Very well said. So I guess my friend, and yeah, I think I already said this, but I'm going to say it again in case I didn't. Like, thank you for trusting me enough to like sit here with me and talk to me about this.
Thank you.
Again, like I think we said it earlier, but like everybody's superpower or everybody has a story and some people never get a chance to tell that story. So I think it's so important that we have conversations like this that aren't always pretty that again can help someone somewhere possibly if they're going through something similar. So is there anything that you want to plug or promote or advertise, tell people to find you for the services you offer from the cosmetic standpoint, from your art? Where can people see your art? Kind of just advertise.
I mean, I have realized you can Google Anita Art Atlanta, and I'm like, bing, 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 bing. That's kind of cool for
Yeah.
artwork as well. But then I love specializing in areola creations for breast cancer patients. It's the thing that like makes me the most revitalized and energetic. I love it. I love helping do that for someone. So you can find me at Darling Derma Ink. And that's INK, not INC. So we're about tattoo ink. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, just I sell most of that stuff on my Etsy, all the little things that we had talked about, but that's a Darling lifestyle. So
I'll make sure that I throw that information down in the description of the episode so that if you're interested in checking out more or learning more or whatever, something in between, you can go down there into the description and click it and it'll take you to your desired destination. Thank you, dude,
yeah,
for coming here.
yeah.
and having this conversation with me. This is so powerful, and I just know that your daughter's so proud of you, and your other daughters, and everything you've got going on. And she just, I hate that we lost her, but like you said, like, what can I take from this and do some good with it? And I think you are doing that. I mean, you went through trauma, and then you helped one of your other daughters get through something that could have been also very traumatic by helping restore part of her body from a traumatic event. So I mean, you're doing those things. So keep killing it.
I appreciate
Absolutely. Okay, guys, again, her information is in the description of the episode. So if you are down for art or trinkets or anything in between, you can check it out below. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in and being a part of what we're doing over here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.